Welcome back, everyone. We are back with Game 2 of the Salt Mill versus Wet Willies in the Position 1 2016 Overwatch Open Skirmish. And I can guarantee you, wholeheartedly, that our next tournament will have a shorter name. Let's have a look at these lineups. We're already seeing a few differences. Willie on Wet Willies going the Junkrat. It's a good choice for this map. Kings Row, a lot of tight spaces. A lot of spots to catch someone out with a grenade or two. And we see a few differences for TSM as well. Heart Sunk on the Genji. We saw that briefly in round 1 of Game 1. And Silly Hats on a Widowmaker, which we haven't seen in this matchup yet. So that could be very interesting. I'm noticing no Torbjorn or Bastion. Torbjorn and Bastion both really popular picks for this starting spot in Kings Row. Not for the whole map, but for this particular choke point and actually the last one. You see that quite a lot, but not today. Timekeeper jumping in straight out of the gate. Grossman goes in with the shield. Reinhardt on both sides here. Also a really common pick as you can shield off that entire middle door really well for your team. A few shots going in, but at the moment, both teams are exchanging equal blows. You can see Ulster has switched over to a Pharah. It's not a character we've seen for them yet, but good pick for this map. Okay, TSM getting a good push here, managing to make a little bit of space for themselves, but they are paying for it with Timekeeper going down and Hard Sunk following after. And Wet Willies will be happy enough with this start. Quite often you see with this particular point a real rush, but they've managed to avoid that. And they're going to play it a little bit slower. Grossman and Peaches goes down, and TSM are going to have to wait until they can get their healer back, probably. But Willies aren't really taking that space back. They earned it, but then they've decided, no, we're going to sit back here. I think they're worried that if they overextend, they might lose some ground to TSM. Stardot just dropping those rockets. Ulster doing the same. Peaches flies up there with her. And there we go, we've got the res from Peaches bringing up Les Grossman, giving them some tankiness back. This is going to be a good push from them. Willie goes down. Grossman's shield goes up in clout range. There's the ult. Nicely done. Ken's surely going to go down here, but no, manages to escape it. In fact, Grossman pays the price. And we see a Willie's res coming here. Whelps is down. Peaches, Ulster as well. Heart Sunk's ult doesn't go as far as he probably would have liked, with Aldriton saying, no thanks, we've already had one. See Grossman trying to make a move here, but doesn't have most of his team behind him, and as a Reinhardt, you really need to have that damage coming out, or you're just really wasting your shield energy. Once again, we see Wet Willies sitting on the point, not overextending. They like where they are, and they've held well. Only 2.5 minutes to go, so the pressure is definitely on TSM to capture this first point. Once again, we just see this sort of mid-map skirmish. I like this flank going in this corridor here, but Aldriton doesn't, and rebukes them. Timekeeper just dropping those little Lucio bolts in there. And that's something Timekeeper's been good for this game. You know, he's always just trying to put in some damage. There are a lot of Lucios that like to sit in the back line and not really contribute to that harassing fire. But Timekeeper, he says, no, I'm all about that base. No worries. Grossman here trying to absorb some fire, but again, his team just isn't behind him. Silly Hats there was going for the flank instead. Timekeeper was around the other corner. And his shield is going to go down without actually having blocked much damage. He drops his ult, but doesn't manage to get anybody with it. Startup May, on the other hand, relatively successful. Takes Grossman and Heart Sunk, but they're right back up. Sorry, Ulster, not Heart Sunk. Grossman misses his charge, but they have managed to push Wet Willies off the point here. Peaches and Grossman are in. Peaches goes down. Grossman goes down. Ulster is going to have to get out of dodge there. And Heart Sunk has gone a little bit too far. He's going to have to find his way back around, but he's so isolated now. And I think he knows that, and he goes for the harassment, but he can't, and he goes down. Tough loss for TSM. They almost had something there, but they just sort of gave it away by splitting up. They need to stick together a little bit longer if they want to have a success here. Grossman switching over to a Winston instead of the Reinhardt. I think that's a great choice for them. They haven't really been utilizing that Reinhardt shield like they want to, and frankly, he's too slow when you've only got a minute left. They need to be jumping in on that point. There goes the ultimate from Hanzo. Picks up Timekeeper. Great move there. They're going to go in for the point, but Willies holding well. Heartsunk's gone around the corner there. Doesn't look like he can get much out of it. Startup goes hunting. He's managed to avoid that quite well. And this is probably going to be TSM's last push here. Grossman sticking with that Winston. Silly Hat switching to a Winston as well. So they're really going all out to just capture this point. They're waiting for the group up. They know it's going to be their last chance. Peaches and Timekeeper are going to have to keep these two up. The problem is going to be damage. Can they take down the enemy team while they try to hold this point? I think inevitably it's a no. Startup mess. Barrage goes down. Only Grossman falls to it though. This is looking like a better push than I thought. Willies on it, Aldrichson's on it, but can they get it? Not really. They're losing too many. Darko's down. Peaches down. Austria's ult doesn't go the way they needed to. 3 down on TSM. Grossman's going to go for that last ditch effort there, but he just drops to all that damage. And Peaches is going to try and fly in. Gets the res on Austria and Grossman. That's a great move there. She does pay for it, but could that keep them in overtime a little bit longer? It does. Heartsunk has arrived. Timekeeper's in. This could be the hold that they needed. They just need to get some kills here, and Darkos does have his resurrect up. So they need to take that Mercy out first, which they are not doing just yet. Welps gets back up with the res. Austria and Grossman are down. Peaches doesn't have her ult, so they're not going to be able to bring anyone back. And Peaches goes down as well. 4v6 on the point here. Saltmill are going to need a miracle if they want to hold this. Silly Hats gets hit by the ult, and he'll go down to damage for sure. Aldrichson charging him off the point. Austria tries to hold it out a little bit longer, but that barrage is going to take him and Silly Hats down, and that should be it. Wet Willies take round 1. A great round by them. That first point, they say, is always the hardest.
Play of the game.
Had to be a Riptide, really, didn't it? And that's a good one, as far as Riptides go. Very well timed. Not surprised to see Grossman up there with the damage blocked. He had that shield up a lot and really was trying to help his team push through, but maybe just wasn't getting the range support he needed behind him, and frankly, probably wasn't the best pick. I think that Winston change at the end, that was very astute. Allowed them to actually get some push on the point, and I think we'll probably see more of that from Wet Willies, having seen it work so well for Saltmill at the end. If they'd started with that Winston pick, I think we might have seen a different story on that round. But I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we have TSM back in the blue, switching back to the blue that they were in Game 1. Wet Willies in the red, and we can already see some similar picks going here. Grossman back to his Reinhardt. Silly Hat staying with the Hanzo. Heartsunk onto a Roadhog. And look at this. Wet Willies. 2 Winstons off the bat. I don't think they'll stay that way. But it is interesting. Startup Meg going for the Widowmaker. We didn't see too much of the Widowmaker last game. I know there was a pick. I don't remember who. But I'm pretty sure that was switched off quite quickly. Well, we can at least see TSM's lineup. Timekeeper is on the Junkrat. That's a new one for them. Heartsunk, as I said, on the Roadhog. Austria on the Lucio. Silly Hats on the Soldier 76. Peaches on the Mercy. She's done very well with so far. Les Grossman on his all but famous Reinhardt. And for Wet Willies, Star.Meh on the Widowmaker, dropping the Farah pick. Darkos on the Lucio instead of the Mercy. Welps and Aldrichson both on a Winston here. Ken on the Roadhog, and Willett takes over the Farah duty. My prediction here, I think Wet Willies will take this first point relatively quickly, probably within the first couple of minutes, but I think that TSM have got a great moving defense. Their rolling defense is very good. They're very good at adapting to change. They're very good at capitalizing on corners, and frankly, I think they're just better defenders than they are attackers in a lot of ways, and their character picks kind of tell that same story. But let's see how we go. If there's one thing I know about my predictions, it's that they are very rarely accurate. So here's that big push from Wet Willies. Like I said in the last round, this is a really common move on King's Row. This point can be so hard to take, so Wet Willies are going to try and get it nice and early on. Whelps goes down. Ken's looking low. Aldrich half health as well. But TSM have lost a few. Peaches goes down, so they don't have a healer. In fact, just Silly Hats and Timekeeper left. Timekeeper dropping that that splash damage in, but that's definitely not going to be enough. And Wet Willies are going to take this cap. That early aggression has won them this first cap. Now, if this was Blizzard's competitive format, Wet Willies would already have won, which is why Blizzard's competitive format sucks. And in fact, you can see some of the players thinking maybe it is Blizzard's competitive format. Well, let's keep this moving. So TSM are being pretty reserved here, waiting for Wet Willies to come to them. These tight corners of King's Row are much harder to attack with. But they're making this push well. Willie's really not contesting too much.
Heroes never die.
Whew, and we can see Wet Willies left their car for a minute there, but it didn't cost them anything. They came back to find Timekeeper trying to jumpstart the whole thing. And Willie's going to chase through this door here. A lot of drip, not a lot of grouping up here. Another TSM player goes down. This has been pretty quick progress for Wet Willies so far. They're going to make a quick waypoint here. We see quite a bit of long-range defense going with TSM. Heartseeker trying to get that push in, but they do lose the checkpoint. Grossman and Silly Hats along with Timekeeper trying to hold the point off here, but they probably need to be a little bit more aggressive about it. Once again, we see Grossman with his shield up and no one behind him. I mean, he's got Silly Hats there, but that's just not enough damage. And in fact, Silly Hats goes down after the shield breaks. Grossman goes down to the Roadhog ult from Ken. Should be a nice push for Wet Willies here. Peaches gets the res. That's a 3-man res. That could work really well for them. But they are still outnumbered, unfortunately. Willie drops his ult and Peaches in the process. Heartsunk goes down as well. And we find the remainder of the TSM players unsure what to do with themselves. Willie now trying to resist, but going to be very hard for him to do on his own. You can see a couple of the other players are trying to walk their way back, but not having too much luck. TSM holding that car a little bit longer. Oh, Heartsunk gets a great ult in there on the side, but actually avoids getting a kill on it. Grossman just holding up the team there. Shield breaks, so Aldrich jumps in and pays for it. Doesn't manage to get anything out of that. You can see with half his team around the corner, it's no surprise, and that's because Timekeeper here is playing a really good distraction move, just keeping them from coming around that corner so they can't attack as a group. They're too busy trying to get these pickoffs from range, and that's stopping them getting back to the car. And in fact, we can see that someone's put it in reverse. Ken gets a great hook on Timekeeper, and you get 2 down there. Peaches going down as well. And Wet Willies are back on the truck. And they're making pretty quick progress here. 3 down for TSM, going to be hard for them to fight this. Grossman gets charged and down, and this should be the cap for Wet Willies realistically. Oh, great res by Peaches though. This is going to be a last-ditch effort here. Definitely going to put us into overtime, but Ken's ultimate is probably going to make all the difference here. A ton of damage going. Les Grossman pushed up the point. Heartsunk and Silly Hats jump in, but there's the resurrect from Darkos, and there's absolutely no way TSM are going to be able to hold this. Silly Hats just trying to run the classic Tracer distraction, but no such luck, and it's a win for Wet Willies. And that is overall going to be a 2-0 victory for them. A great game by them, and it is going to put them top of their table with all their games played. A phenomenal showing from both teams. Really fun teams to watch here. And it's no surprise that these guys are so tightly contested. In fact, I think I may not be mistaken in saying that TSM's only losses have been to Wet Willies at this stage. And we saw that these guys have romped through the group at this point. It'll be good to see how they go in the final series, as they are 100% through, as are the Salt Mill. Thanks for joining me once again. Always a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed the match. Hope you enjoyed my solo streaming. I know I didn't. But always fun to watch these guys play. Thank you so much once again for watching the Position 1 2016 Overwatch Open Skirmish. Enjoy. Have a great night. See you later.